So we have an iPhone XS Max here that's not turning on. The first step of our process with this device is we plug it into a device that allows us to see the current going through the device. We can see from the results that it looks like it's going to be a short somewhere on the main power line. Our next step is to hook it up to a DC power supply and inject voltage directly into the circuit we think is causing the problem. And we can see that there is most definitely a short somewhere here. We then remove the motherboard from the chassis and inject voltage again into the main line to probably confirm that no other components are interfering with the problem. Now, the tricky thing here is that there are 3 layers to this motherboard. One layer is external and the other 2 are sandwiched in the middle of the motherboard. And the component we're looking for can really be anywhere on those layers. So we use freeze spray to identify the general area of the component that we're looking for. And we can see that it looks like it's in the middle of the board somewhere. So based on the freeze spray, we can see that it looks like the component we're looking for is actually on one of the internal layers of the motherboard. Now, accessing the internal layers of the motherboard of these phones is quite difficult. We actually need to heat up the motherboard to about 250 degrees so that we can split the motherboard in half without damaging any of the circuitry. Now that we have access to the internal layers of the motherboard, we can actually visibly see the component that is causing the problem. It appears to be a blown capacitor. The component itself is in a really tricky spot though. It's right next to the main power IC, and there's actually a layer of glue around the component that we need to be careful with. Now that we've successfully removed the component, we use a mounting jig that allows us to emulate the split motherboard being reattached without physically doing the repair. It looks like now our device is powering on, and the last thing that we need to do before extracting the data is to make sure functionality such as touchscreen is functional and that the device stays alive long enough for the extraction.